The Arrowhead is Irisk's base of choice. However, in my opinion, it's quite weak to raid through the roof and through the doors. You can get quite cheap raid costs doing that. But what if we can fix that all together by roof stacking it? Not a whole lot of bases can be roof stacked, but I found that this base is actually really easy to incorporate it with. The base, of course, features a front door airlock, and like the other Arrowhead design, I like to have a way to defend off door campers. So, by what really is just personal preference, I did a really weird design here, and I allowed full 360 view, some drop boxes, of course, more drop boxes. These are actually defended by 8 rockets, and then a nice peek through the door to shoot at door campers and anybody who actually gets through the door. Of course, you could seal this bunker with sheet metal for guaranteed 8 rockets. And there's no way you can jackhammer through this bunker. Now we get into the main area. You've got a way up still, and you've got a bit more furnaces here. Now I do a weird thing with armored foundations and stone walls, in that in my experiments, 4 jackhammers actually is the same amount it takes to go through a stone wall as it does to go through an armored foundation, so I count them as equivalent to save resources. And here's the upstairs. Did all the same things the other base has, except I actually managed to get a helicopter pad, which is always nice to have. Alright, building the base is a bit of a weird process. Make sure that when you wall stack it, the second foundation isn't too close to the other one, or you won't be able to place some things. I found that out the hard way. But once you build the 2 triangles, the rest of the base is genuinely pretty easy to get together. You're going to want to bring like a bow or something to break twig, because you're going to break a couple of things that are unnecessary. So here you want to make sure that both the foundations are on the same level, which is why I destroyed those and brought up the airlock so it's above the foundation level. After this, you can pretty much upgrade all of that. You want to leave that back piece stone so you can access it later without it getting broken, but it doesn't contribute right now to anything. Once you upgrade all of this, you basically got the same base as the starter. It's a little bit more complicated to build, but in the end, it's worth it. You can use some twig to like make it easier to place the walls, the roof stacking, just to make it a little bit flat for you to walk on. So now you're going to come out here and start adding the other bunker and some honeycomb. There's a lot of breaking things and replacing them to get them in the right position, but as long as you got your TC down, this isn't too much of a hassle. You can leave this one to wood, so you can have access to the roof later. You can put some furnaces in here for extra storage, but you don't necessarily need to. This will be your bunker. And now you're gonna finish up with the airlock. I placed these two door frames for some extra stability, and that's where garage doors will go later. You can leave this part of the roof open and put shotgun traps in there, but if you want to put the boxes down, you're going to have to place those first and remove the top bit of the roof. Otherwise, you won't be able to fit the two in the room like this. You're going to want to honeycomb these stone parts, or these stone squares, and make sure the foundations are high qual. But you could, of course, upgrade those on the outside of the base at any time. Now we're going to just upgrade the Corda sheet metal for some extra protection. You could have done this earlier, but I just decided to show most of the upgrades now. The reason I did it in this order is, the reason I upgrade the way I do is I only upgrade what's necessary to keep the raid even all around. So that's why the walls are, and you could go ahead and upgrade to high qual to get it to 24 rockets from the back. If you upgrade this roofs to high qual, it makes it way harder to upgrade to raid through the roof, but it's not necessarily a necessary thing. The roofs are fine as sheet metal. Now we can go ahead and start working on the second floor, and the you could have put this roof stacking earlier, but I just decided to put it down when I was about to work on the second floor. And here we're adding some honeycomb. At this point, the base is pretty obviously roof stacked. Once you get the second story, it's not going to be so obvious. A lot of the half walls that I place are to hide and help conceal that it's roof stacked, because you want them to go through the roof, obviously, because that's the strongest point. And you can kind of make it more inviting with the half walls. And you also don't want any of them to know that you have roof stacked the base if they are going to decide where to go from. Remember, I keep those walls stone because they can jackhammer the armored foundation for about the same time that it'll take to jackhammer a stone wall. Now, placing a lot of these walls upstairs can be weird, but you can get angles from downstairs and actually place them. None of them are actually impossible to place for the most part. Just, you need a different angle. I placed these walls backwards and it took me a while to notice, but eventually I did. Yeah, sometimes these doors could be weird to place. Just get a different angle and you can place them. Here I'm expanding out to the helipad. Here I'm placing some of the doors through the wall. Here I'm adding honeycomb. This honeycomb is pretty important, so don't forget it. Also, I upgrade that square to high qual because it's one of the weaker points on the base, and honeycombing it looks very ugly. So I decided just to high qual it. Here's me just getting another angle. One of those walls are back. Well, some of those walls are backwards, so make sure you rotate them. I believe I do it later in the video. Go ahead and add all the roofs. When adding the roof stacking, be careful what you upgrade. I'm just going to outline it in twig because you want to hide the fact that this is roof stacked with half walls. I'll show you how to do that. And if you upgrade, and some of these will block the half walls if upgraded. So you want to add this honeycomb so you can help conceal the fact that this is roof stacked as well. Because on top of these honeycombs, you're going to put half walls. So, that stone roof will block the half walls, so make sure you don't upgrade those before the half walls are down. So here I am, finishing the last of it. These squares should be sheet metal on the inside. Make sure you upgrade them to sheet metal. Otherwise, it's just a little bit weaker than it should be. Also, honeycomb the chute upstairs, because without the honeycomb, it's one of the weaker points on the base. And now you're pretty much done, aside from upgrading the bunker and some other stuff for sheet metal. Upgrading this makes it 8 rockets harder to raid through the doors. And now you've got your secondary loot room down upstairs. go ahead and upgrade the roofs to sheet metal, just to get a ton of extra protection. I'm upgrading the square here to just sheet metal. The other square needs to be high quality. Done that, you are finally finished with the base, and now you're good. You can live through this for as long as you want. And hopefully you've hidden the roof stacking well enough that they decide to go through the roof and waste all their rockets.